Well, welcome back DIY car guys and car girls. And I took Mr. Sparkles to the track, to an event, and the first pass wasn't that bad. Here it is. But after that, it all went downhill. So that's what we're talking about today. So let's talk about what I think is happening and why it all went downhill. First of all, there's a gremlin that came back. This happened after the second pass. This gremlin I had in the beginning of the season, ever since I put on these headers, and I haven't quite been able to track it down. What I did the first time, which I thought fixed it, I put steeper gears in there and I put a different converter in there. And it was pulling to 7,000. And that's when I ran my best time motor in this S10 on gas. Of course, it was a really good DA, great conditions, like I said, great conditions, and it ran the best it did motor in the 8th, which was a 660. And it ran a 1044 to 129 in the quarter, shifting at 7,000 RPM. So that first pass, everything felt fine. The second pass, this is all test passes by the way, didn't get to the real race yet. Second pass, when it got to around 6,000, it felt like someone was touching the brakes and the thing just fell over. But the air fuel, the RPM still looked fine. Like if you look at the video, you would think there's nothing wrong with it, but it shows in the 60 foot. Went from that last pass in the beginning of the day, which was a 14960 to a 153. That's huge because it's falling on its face in first gear. I don't know why. Once you get out of first gear, then it seems to want to pull. But don't worry, it gets worse after that. Now, I know someone's going to say something. What did it run? Can't tell you. It did not beat my personal best on gas and great DA. This is horrible DA, but this was a no time event, so I cannot show times. So at this point, I'm like, crap. This gremlin has come back to bite me again. The first time I thought it was a transmission. Maybe it was on first gear. If you have a cross bleed in your transmission, your first gear, another gear will grab, and it'll just kind of seize up. And almost like someone's putting on the brakes and the car won't go forward. But when I drop the pan, there'd be clear evidence in the pan that the clutches would eat themselves up. And I didn't see any of that the first time. So I was like, it's probably not the transmission. I have no idea what it is. Maybe it's converter. Maybe the sprag in the converter of the 10-inch I still got back there is messing up. So I put the 8-inch. By the way, they both have sprags in them. So I said, let me try that one. And that's why, like I said before, when I went to the track, I ran the best time motor, shifting at 7, mile per hour went up. So I know the car, this motor makes power past 6,000. And it even showed that on the dyno that it was making power. It made peak power at 6,700 RPM the day before at Joe's shop. But there's one thing that happened that I didn't show you guys in my last video, is that it did break up a couple of times and it had an inconsistency in the horsepower. So it kind of dropped down, then dropped back up, dropped down, dropped back up. And it didn't make any sense because it would do it, then it wouldn't do it. It was kind of like intermittent type deal. I was like, screw it, I'll just put the best runs in the video. So it came back to bite me when I was at the track, and I still wasn't quite sure what it was. I blamed it on a whole bunch of things. So when I got back from the event, I really seriously wanted to push this thing right off a cliff. I wanted just to take it and say, peace out, Girl Scout. So let me tell you what I did, because I wasn't quite sure what it was, but my first suspect that I thought what it might be is this. I thought maybe my start retard box or retard module was doing something crazy causing it to break up, because it's done that a couple of times in the past. So I pulled the distributor out the LT1 and I put it on the 400, no dice, still had an issue. Now, and by the way, this issue that I'm talking about happened on gas and happened on E85, so it's not fuel related. It's something to do with the spark. I even unhooked that guy and tried this guy. No dice. I even tried different distributor caps. And I tried different rotors. And the problem kept getting worse. So my frustration was on kill. So I basically drank a whole bunch of alcohol, went inside, woke up, and I thought, how long has it been since I changed my wires? I just put in new plugs, but let's go ahead and put in as many wires as I can. Like these guys are right here, see this? These are all new. I had enough material to do those, and two ones right here, and these two are still the old ones. See the difference? See how those look a little more grody than those? So, once I did that, oh, there's one more thing I did do because I didn't ever know this. Someone's probably going to talk about this. But anyways, that fixed the issue. To my knowledge, I took it back out. The mist was gone and it was pulling good again. Hold on. Let me show you this. I did this other thing too. I even installed a trans temp gauge. So the next time we go to the track, I'm curious of how hot it gets. Now I drove around. It didn't get over 160 just driving around. And all I did is make one pass, so I can't see why it might be hot, but I did notice that once you shut this thing off, the heat climbs rapidly because it just heat soaks the crap out the transmission. And both times that it happened, I think it was in really, really hot temperature that I laid over first after I made a hit. So maybe the problem is the transmission is getting heat soaked. I don't know. That's another possibility. So after yanking out distributor caps, and I even phased the distributor cap. I have a EFI one that you can like phase the cap to number 1. And this is before I realized it was just plugs and wires. At least to my knowledge, like I said, it's intermittent, so I'm not totally convinced that it won't come back, all right? But it did seem to be way better after I did plugs and wires. I'm gonna order 2 more wires. So after all this, I was thinking, you know what? Now that I'm running this fuel, you have to burn so much more fuel. Maybe it's time that my timing is stepped up. So down here, I am going to get a crank trigger for this guy and then eventually step up the components. I was going to get the direct ignition system, but the problem is that MSD direct ignition system only runs off a distributor. What you really want to do is run your timing off of any motor off the crank. Because why is that? Well, that gear goes to your camshaft. Your camshaft is attached to a whole bunch of lifters. Everything's pushing on that, causing a shit ton of harmonics. And then it goes to a gear on your distributor, goes up to the cap, then it spins around. Trust me, that's where you want your timing. Okay, so I know someone's going to correct me of how the stuff works. Okay, you have your crank, which has a gear on there, goes up to a gear on your cam, not a sprocket. That chain turns around, turns your camshaft. Then there's a gear on the back of your camshaft. There's a gear on your distributor, goes up to a shaft, then to your rotor, then to your cap, which then distributes electricity down to your plugs. I know someone, it seems like, no, what I do, A lot of you guys get it. I might miss something, but there's always someone who has to correct you when you're just rambling it on. So sometimes I ramble, so I do miss a couple of things. So hopefully that clears up some of that. Like I said, I'm not sure if the problem is solved as far as that. But like I said, I'm going to step up my ignition game. And by ignition, I mean a better box. And yes, I do know someone's gonna say something. I did redo all the grounds, the power, rewired all this crap and didn't do anything. I don't think it's the box, but it still could be the box. Anyways, let's get back to what I was just saying. And I'm also going to step up my transmission game, but I'm still going to keep 350. This is going to be in the future. I don't want to spoil any surprises for it. Still going to keep it. A lot of people say get rid of the 350. It's garbage. I'm going to keep it just like, you know, Grubworm keeps the LT1 when people call that garbage, because they do make some cooler stuff for the TH350. ATI, look it up. It's called Super. But anyways, we're going to keep that. Because one of the problems with the 350s is that, you know, there's something very old that it all has to go in, kind of like a 400 small block Chevy, which is why I got my aftermarket block instead of going to old one. You know what it is. It's going to be coming later on, but I'm not sure when it's going to be in stock. And at that point, we'll be going into it. So anyways, guys, look for the next video. I'm installing the flying magnet crank trigger from MSD, and then eventually I'll be stepping up to a grid, then the power grid, then I'm going to even skip, you know, the cap and rotor. We're going, well, it might still have that, I'm not sure, I can't remember, but we're going to go to eventually coil on plug setup with this old school small block Chevy. But that's later on down the line. But that's a nice thing about the MSD components, because you can buy one thing at a time to get you to that point. So that's the plan. Thanks for subscribing. Keep on wrenching. Peace.